My name is Monica. I This is my spiritual channel, personal development, um, channel. Um, and I know the title is not necessarily misleading. I'm gonna just give you my breakdown. I um grew up as a singer-songwriter and a performer. I have a performance moniker, Nerd Queen. You can Google me. And I've also written music reviews in Performer Magazine, which is a now defunct magazine that used to be around, roughly 15-ish years ago. It's probably still out there online, but I used to write for them for about 4-ish years, writing music reviews. Okay, currently I am in 3 bands. I'm still doing Nerd Queen and I'm in 2 other bands. So I just wanted to get the intros out of the way really quick as to why am I doing this? First impressions, and why is it that I have not heard this album before? That is on purpose. And now you know why. Because I'm a singer-songwriter and I also had been working on music for myself, and I make it a practice not to listen to other people's music. Um, Simply because I want what is really truly in me to be what's truly in me and not, trying to emulate anybody else. With that being said, I do study music. That's why I have the ability to write music. So there's a difference between consuming music and studying music. So I didn't want to confuse the two while I'm also writing music. Okay. All right. So I had heard of the amazing album To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar. I remember when it came out, and yes, I was writing music at the time for myself, so I didn't want to have what people are saying influence what I was writing and what I was working on at the time. So I kind of purposely kind of not, put it shelved. And believe it or not, quite honestly, there's a lot of music that I don't listen to on purpose for that reason. I try my best not to get caught up in trends or whatever style is. Um, I I am under the impression that good music is timeless. Okay, so when I am writing music, I don't go for what is trendy. Not to say that what Kendrick Lamar was doing was trendy, but I just am not a part of commercial music, and that is where it's kind of teetering the line. And that's as far as I can go with that kind of impression with Kendrick Lamar, that it was so popular, that it was so good, that everybody was listening to it. Now, that kind of just, to me, made it so like, well, maybe I shouldn't be listening to it right now. I'm trying to write my own music, that like that. All right. And so what made me listen to it today of all days? Well, um, and I think the timing, I believe in divine timing. That's me doing this on my spiritual channel versus my other channel, which I do have another channel, Nerd Queen. And I'm working on helping my brother who is dealing with mental illness right now. And he's been going through a lot, and he's been working on getting better. There's been some pitfalls, and 24 hours ago there was, just as I think there's something good happening, then something doesn't happen, and then there's up downs and lows and ups and highs and things in this. And I kind of needed to work on a deadline of getting him some music to listen to, and introduce him to MP3 players. And that's a long story short, y'all. So seriously, if you are interested, you can watch my playlist about my brother's journey. He is trying to get acclimated into the world as we know it now. I'll just say that. So, I'm introducing him to MP3 players. Like he really had never heard of them before until I mentioned it because he kept asking me for CDs. Okay. And so I was like, what do you want a CD for? Nobody does CDs anymore. You need an MP3 player at the very least. So, um, I'm loading up my MP3 player that I just happen to have. And I was at first going to put things on it that he likes. Not to say that he does not like Kendrick Lamar. I was kind of going off of what he was already listening to. And again, the reason why I'm doing this on this channel versus my music channel is sadly the music that my brother has been listening to or had listened to when he was a teenager and currently listens to or tries to continue to listen to is problematic at best. And I know, I shouldn't judge or whatever, but he's mentally ill. And a lot of the things that he is saying out in the real world is almost directly influenced. And I hadn't even heard it until I started sitting here trying to put that on my MP3 player. I was like, oh my gosh, this is making my stomach turn because he's saying these things because he hears it from this other artist that is no longer with us, by the way. This one particular artist, I'll just go ahead and say it, King Von. And I'd never heard of this person before. And so my brother is, I guess, enthralled with this particular performer. I don't know how he ended up uh, learning about this person. Who knows? Like, my brother's been through a lot. I'll just say that. But my brother does not share the life that King Von apparently talked about in his songs. My brother grew up on a farm. Okay. Both of our parents are still together. I can call them right now on the phone and I know where they are. Okay. So that is the danger of music. It can be helpful or harmful. And so, yeah, as I was sitting here, like thinking about, well, I'm going to put these songs on this MP3 player, and it's like literally turning my stomach. Like, I can't bear to, like, how can he heal listening to something like this? Okay. He cannot. So, based on what I remember from Kendrick Lamar's third album, I was like, well, maybe today is the day I need to listen to that album and maybe put that on the MP3 player. Because from what I remember reading the reviews, it was, this self-discovery of a black man in the United States, realizing himself, going in through um, self-realization, things like that. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I need to listen to it today. And I'd always thought about also doing spiritual breakdowns, and maybe eventually I'll do one for this particular album as well. But because of this effect that this album had, it was released 10 years ago. Okay? And as I said earlier, good music is timeless. Okay? And with that, I'm just going to give you my first impressions on To Pimp a Butterfly. Okay? As I said before, I grew up as a singer-songwriter. I have a degree in music. I have taught people how to perform. I'm a performer myself, so I go with a lot of the things I'm about to say. I'm going to try to keep it as general as possible. Um, but I'll go with the music first. So I loved that it had this opening scene with, I guess, it felt like George Clinton type music, the 70s were like space funk kind of fever dream. Like it feels like that, you know? And it had, these kinds of collage type, and again, collage is what I love. Collage type clips and kind of jazzy noise jazz. Like it was great, the opening. And for somebody like me who listens to a lot of different kinds of music and I can break down things, and like I said, I've written for national publications before, okay, that I was already intrigued. I was like, yes, okay. And it helped cleanse my palate because seriously, and I'm not knocking anybody who is a King Von fan, but it it just wasn't for me. And knowing the effect of what it's doing to my brother right now is also not appealing. So um hearing, you know, Kendrick Lamar having all these struggles with identity. Now, this, I feel like this is something that can be healing for someone who is troubled, like my brother, you know? So he is, going through some things. We're working on it. And he is seeking some help. He's struggling sometimes. And I feel like there's only so much I can do and say. Um, Maybe a lot of the things he's going through might I don't want to say I am a part of the problem, but I don't know if seeing me in my world and my success necessarily helps him sometimes. Maybe he needs somebody else who may have also struggled but then got better. And I did tell him before that Kendrick Lamar had mental illness, and he got better. And that's yet another reason why I wanted to put this on this player for him. So the opening scene of this album, very much presented like 70s, space, new age funk, jazz. It has this vibe of almost like Stevie Wonder, a fresh, original, like never immolated type of feel, confessional. And knowing and I'm going back in history now as I was listening through this, thinking about like, is this why a lot of black men are better than before? Now, not all of them, but a lot of them, they act a little better now than what I'd seen even, 10 years ago. Like I said, and is this the reason why? Did Kendrick Lamar make it okay for men, black men, to go get therapy or go through that inner journey to be more conscious, to care about life, you know? And that makes me wonder, because again, I step away from the culture, what the quote unquote culture things, just simply because I want to create art and I'm not looking to copy people or to be like a part of the crowd or anything like that. So one of the things in that music also had this undulating kind of feel to it. So it's playing with different time signatures, and it just feels like it's ever evolving. It felt like it's ever undulating, and it's not just this hard hitting doom 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 kind of thing where it's like this in most rap, American rap, I guess, it has this hard hitting kind of undercurrent thud is best way I can describe it right now. But like there is that in this album, but there's also that undulation, and very musical, very musical. So it's not simplistic with what they call beats, I guess. And there's just this craft put into the music. And I don't know if they're samples, I don't think they are, but it just lived on its own. It had that feeling of old 70s music. And of course he mentioned, a lot of people from like music from the 80s and things like that. He even had a couple of people on the album himself with that, but it did not feel nostalgic. It felt fresh, but it felt familiar. And that's the best way I can describe that. All right, so I'm trying to see if there's any standouts when it comes to these songs. So there's a lot of standouts. Like I said, it's confessional. He's not holding back. And it wasn't until I got through, sorry, like almost halfway through this that I was like, he went through some things. Okay, so those of us who do inner work, we know. Okay, we know when they're for real, and they're going through some stuff, and they're living it, and they're facing it, and they're really doing what they need to do for themselves. And this man did it. Okay. So as I'm sitting here, like I said, I don't, the only reason why I'm less kind of flustered is because it just felt like he took me on a journey, his journey. I was there with him. Okay. And that's what you want with real art. You want to know that it was more than just fronting, in comparison to the other music I was unfortunately trying to listen to record for my brother or to put on this MP3 player. That Kendrick was actually introspective. Like he was like, you know what? I don't care about what other people think. Yeah, people do things, but I have to be accountable, and that's where the inner work starts. Okay, sorry. Again, I'm just trying to find the track listing so I can talk more of this. Yeah, so there was like songs like Institutionalized, where he's like, I've got to do this before they get me, because as we all now know, the United States was not meant for free black people or brown people. It's a business. And if you're not trying to, be like a capitalism, that kind of person, then what are you worth here in the United States? Oh, I see Magneticus is here. Hi, friend. I'm doing a quick impression of To Pimp a Butterfly. I'd always put it on my back burner to listen to, and this is for everyone too. I always, if I did listen to it, I wanted to take the time to hear the whole thing all the way through uninterrupted. And that's another reason why I did that today. So I got a chance to just hear it as a real album, because it is a real album. Okay, so the journey was definitely him like realizing what is this place that I am in, and I have to navigate as a black man in the United States. What does that mean? What am I supposed to be? Versus who am I really? That is an inner work journey. And let's see, another song that just really stood out to me was the one You. Again, back to that undulating kind of feel. It was just so kind of like you can feel the shift. And that's the best way I can describe that. It's like it felt like we don't always just change just like that. It's not just step by step by step, even though people call us step by step guides. Sometimes we're falling back. Sometimes we're in a nebulous type of feel when we are trying to grow as a person, trying to face a problem. Sometimes our emotions are all over the place. And he definitely was being open with how he's feeling and what he's going through. The song You, like, that one was the first standout for me, because of that undulating music in it. And let's see, the next one, For Sale. Oh my gosh, that was another one. Um, Whew. And then after that one, how much a dollar cost? That one definitely was one that also stood out, because it was like, how can I help you when I'm still trying to help me, kind of thing. And I know it's like this metaphor of, I can't help you unless I help myself. And that's true. It's like you put the air mask on for yourself, you can help others. And at first it seemed like he was being selfish and about like just giving this man a dollar, but really, am I really helping him by giving him a dollar if he's really just going to go and buy alcohol? Or I'm trying to, like, I can hear and see and feel his inner struggle in that song. Um and then You Ain't Gotta Lie. That one also, oh my gosh, amazing. This is again where a lot of people want to wear designer things and pretend they have fast cars and big money when really you don't. And you try to pretend like all of the stuff. There's men of a certain age, like my brother, who lived in that era, and he's stuck in that era. sadly, that you don't have to pretend to be something that you're not. My brother grew up on a farm. So again, I'm saying all this to say it's like he's been tangled up in mental illness for 20 years because he's trying to be something that he isn't. I'm not sure what that is. I'm going to delete anything that doesn't pertain to what I'm actually talking about. Um, so I'm trying to talk about the spiritual breakdown of how music of 20 years ago influenced people of today. I'm not, I mean, rap in the 90s, it wasn't healthy. It was toxic. Okay, I'm just gonna ahead and say it. It was toxic, and unless you didn't know any better, you got influenced. And people even of the 2000s. I like to think that kids are a little bit more savvy now, but who knows? I don't know. And yeah, like gangster rap, like it wasn't healthy. It wasn't healthy. And I know people, call me a hater or whatever, but I grew up then in that time where people would make fun of me for not listening to that. But I was like, do y'all not hear these lyrics? They're talking bad about women, and I'm a woman, and I don't want to be talked to that way. I had self esteem. you know, I'm sorry if I had self esteem back then. Okay. And I can even, I'm not saying that they were bad people. They were in a system too, just like everybody else. It's like, oh, a record company is offering you all this money as long as you say these kind of words and keep people intrigued and you know hype up this life that you may or may not actually have. People like, I'm gonna just go ahead and say, people like Snoop Dogg, he was not as gangster as a lot of like his songs used to say. He was like a little nerd. Okay, his name is Calvin. Yeah, Snoop Dogg's name is Calvin. That is why he is still around today, because he's not really that, like, he's not what he was saying he was back then. Okay. Um, but long story short, though, but the influence has but has damaged a generation. And listening to this album, To Pimp a Butterfly, now I get it. It's like, and I haven't yet heard I think the other one is called the pimp a caterpillar. So to damage somebody in their metamorphosis, and I liked how it felt like, and I don't remember. I'm still trying to look at this playlist here. Then there's the song "I," as in me, um, where he's talking about, y'all are trying to damage me. I am aware now. Y'all are trying to mess me up. Like, I know who I am, and I can love who I am without having to put anybody else down. So he's even trying to squash, and I don't know what's going on lately with him, but at least back then in 2014 and 15 when he was doing this one, um, he definitely talked about his own self-awareness as he was struggling through mental illness and other things. Again, I don't know if, and I try not to, get into gossip and background stories or whatever and what have you, because I'm into just making art. And I like that now that I'm seeing this, I see some Isley brothers were in this, and yeah, I do had the feeling in that. Um, is beautiful. It was beautiful confessional. Again, that undulating kind of thing. And then I think, oh wow. And then Mortal Man. I think that was the last one that was like what, 12 minutes, where it was basically a conversation. And again, it was much needed. Much needed. And I'm glad I waited for this, because now this is something I can share with my brother, that he needs this. Okay? Versus yeah, like I needed that, like that musical cleanse, because the stuff that he is listening to currently, and he still listens to a lot of old school. And this is another reason why, because if he's referencing bringing in people from, from, like, oh my gosh, Layla Hathaway, so people from the 70s and 80s and stuff like that, my brother will definitely feel like this is familiar without being um retro, you know? And I'm trying to find everything that I could possibly do to help him heal, my brother that is. And even if it's with music, you know, then let's try that. Okay? Um yeah. Oh my gosh. I know get I for back. Yes. Mhm. Oh, okay. So it was a part of an interview for oh, it's funny you say that, Magneticus. I've been experimenting with some things. But with that NLP, I'm working on something with him. And I might make a short talking about what I am doing with my brother with that, to help him like get out of negative thinking. Um okay, so again, I'm looking, see, all of this is first impressions of me, like, because if I were to review this, I don't listen to other I hear what other people are saying, but I don't mimic what they are saying. I use my own background in music, my own knowledge of culture and history and things like that. And I do my homework before I present to the world, but this is a first impression. So I didn't know that, I guess, the last song in this album included a interview with Tupac Shakur. That was an interview from 1994. Okay, so again, this helps. Okay, yeah, definitely. Hmm. This is helpful. Oh, that's an interesting question. Um, it depends on how. Like, I will just say this: if you're asking the question, and this is for Isadora, if you're asking the question, that means you're still bothered by that. And I only say that because I've been through, those kinds of things. Okay. Um, so I guess your question is, what would you do if your friend of 3 years starts talking to your ex or multiple exes? It sounds like there might be some resentment with that. It sounds like um, in that question, like when somebody asks the question, that means there's some kind of feelings going on behind that. So if you're asking to get other people's opinion on how to act or how to think on this, I'm just going to reflect back to you and say, Isadora, the fact that you're asking that question means that you're having feelings about either loyalty on either side, and you wonder, if you're really done with those exes, would you care? If you're saying, "Oh, I'm doing it to protect my friend," then I don't, you'd have to ask, then maybe your friend needs to learn that lesson as well. Mhm. So yeah, so as I just said, yeah, so you still have feelings. So I mean, you can't control other people, and that's all I can say on that. You really can't control others. Um, I don't know. And I don't know how old this person is too, because this is summertime and you never know. I do tend to get a lot of people who are under 18 coming through here, being random. But I will say this as friendly advice, as a cool auntie. I've been through it, girl. Seriously. I've been through the age of stalking exes, trying to see what they're doing, trying to warn warn other people about them and stuff, and just like, you know what? It's like I need to take care for me because I can't make them do anything that they don't want to already do. And that's really the truth. Yeah, see, 19. Yeah, so and I have a 19-year-old nephew. So yeah, as a cool auntie, I would tell my nephew, it's like, listen, you can't make people have feelings that they don't have, even as a friend. Like if your friend, and again, I don't know what the situation is. Maybe your friend secretly liked that person while you were with that person, and now they see their chance. So you really just don't know. You don't. And maybe your friend waited. I don't know. But at the same time, you've got to find what brings you joy in life. Okay. And yeah, that's my friendly life coaching advice. Cause yeah, honey, I've been through some things. Okay. Well, I mean, talk to her if you. Well, I don't know what result would you be looking for if you're going to talk to her. That again, you can express your feelings or you can manage your own feelings. So that's yet the other end of it. And I've had friends who say, "Oh, I need closure." I used to be that way too, where you want closure and you want to talk openly about your feelings, but then there's also intent. Like, what are you trying to get out of saying something to your friend? Unless your friend is actively saying to you, "Hey, girl, guess what so and so did today about your ex?" It's like you can tell your friend, "Hey, you know what? You know we used to see each other. I don't want to hear it." That there's that. But if your friend isn't saying anything to you about it, then I don't think you should say anything either. Oh, she is? Oh, yeah. You can tell her, like, boundary. Like, that's, yeah. It's like, I don't like it if you're going to tell me about so and so. You know, I really don't want to hear it. So you can draw a boundary on that. But other than that, it's like, and hope that she respects it because I've had to break up with friends because they didn't respect boundaries. Um, but yeah, you have to think about your intent. Like if she is actively telling you about your ex and whether good, bad, or other, and you don't want to hear it, you can at least say, "Hey, I really don't want to hear it. I'm sorry. Can we talk about other things? Like your friendship to me is valuable, and I don't want to involve other relationships in our friendship." So that's something helpful you can say. It's like I don't want other people's relationship involved in our relationship. All right, so okay, Isadora, hopefully that was helpful. All right, so I'm gonna go. Um, I know that was a weird turn. Um, and it's 3-ish my time. And so yeah, so I'm trying to get him this MP3 player, my brother, that is. Hmm. All right, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Okay. Uh, hopefully I will have notes. And I'm trying to decide on if am I going to do it here on this channel. This is the spiritual and personal development channel, but as you can see, I do play instruments. Um, I coach. I don't know if I want to continue. I don't know if I want to bring that back up, but I am a performer and I perform. So I do have a show tomorrow with my band. But with that, I'm going to say take care, y'all. Have a good one. Be safe. Guard your energy. Set your boundaries. Okay. Um, be good to folks. Okay. All right. Bye. Take care. Hmm.